I watched my neighbor pump $20 worth of gas last week and get enough fuel to maybe reach the next gas station. He just stood there staring at the pump like it was broken. That look? I've seen it everywhere. Grocery stores, restaurants, Amazon checkout pages. It's the same expression my dog makes when I move his food bowl to a different spot. Pure cognitive dissonance. Your brain is literally malfunctioning right now, and it's not your fault. Inflation has turned your financial decision-making into a carnival fun house where nothing makes sense anymore. Let me explain what's actually happening inside your head. Your brain has a pricing system that worked perfectly fine for 200,000 years. You see berries? You know what berries cost in terms of energy to gather them. You trade 3 fish for 1 spear. That exchange rate stays consistent. Then modern economics invented something your brain was never designed to handle. Prices that change faster than your ability to adapt to them. Behavioral economists call this anchoring bias, but that's just a fancy term for your brain getting stuck. When you learned that coffee costs $2, your brain filed that under permanent truth about coffee. Now coffee costs $5, and your brain is having an existential crisis every morning. It's like trying to run iPhone's software on a Nokia 3310. The hardware just can't keep up. But here's where it gets dangerous. When your brain can't process changing prices rationally, it defaults to the oldest program it has, survival mode, predator. Your brain starts asking, if coffee costs this much now, what happens when I can't afford food? This is why you're probably doing weird things with money lately. Buying 6 tubes of toothpaste because it might be more expensive next time. Refusing to eat at restaurants, but then spending $200 on Amazon in one sitting. Checking grocery store apps like you're monitoring the stock market. Your brain has activated what psychologists call scarcity programming. It's the same mental state your great-great-grandmother entered during the Dust Bowl, except you're triggering it every time you buy milk. The scariest part? This isn't rational calculation. This is pure emotion masquerading as financial planning. We've seen this psychological pattern before. In the 1970s, inflation hit double digits, and an entire generation developed what economists called inflation expectations. People started making financial decisions based on the assumption that everything would always cost more tomorrow. My dad still keeps a freezer full of meat in his garage because in 1974, he watched his mother stand in line for 2 hours to buy ground beef. His brain learned that food scarcity was always one price spike away. But here's the brutal truth. Those inflation expectations lasted 20 years longer than the actual inflation. People who lived through the 1970s were still hoarding and panic buying well into the 1990s, when inflation was basically zero. Their brains had been rewired by economic trauma, and they couldn't rewire themselves back when conditions improved. Now here's what makes our current situation uniquely toxic. You're not just experiencing inflation. You're experiencing everyone else's inflation anxiety in real time through social media. Your great-grandmother dealt with rising prices by talking to maybe 10 people in her immediate community. You're processing the sticker shock of millions of strangers every time you open TikTok. Your brain thinks the entire world is simultaneously having a financial emergency because that's literally what your information diet is telling you. The psychological impact is getting amplified by the echo chamber effect. You're not just adapting to inflation, you're drowning in inflation content. And your brain can't tell the difference between your actual financial situation and the collective financial anxiety of the internet. This is why your grandparents' money advice feels so useless right now. Just save more and spend less. Made perfect sense when prices were predictable and jobs were stable, but their brains developed financial habits in a world where you could expect gas to cost roughly the same amount from month to month, where buying a house wasn't a speculative investment that could double in value in 2 years. They're giving you advice for a stable financial environment while you're living in economic chaos. It's like getting driving directions for normal roads when you're trying to navigate during an earthquake. So how do you fix a brain that's stuck in financial fight or flight mode? First, accept that your pricing intuition is temporarily broken. Stop trusting your gut reactions to prices. Your brain is working with outdated data and it's making you crazy. Start tracking what things actually cost now, not what you think they should cost. Spend 20 minutes once a month just recording real prices for stuff you buy regularly. Give your brain accurate information to work with. Second, separate your emotions from your economics. When you see a high price, notice the physical sensation, the chest tightness, the flash of anger. That's your amygdala freaking out. Take 3 seconds to let it pass before you decide anything. Third, set inflation buffers in your budget instead of trying to maintain pre-2020 spending levels. If your grocery budget was $400, make it $500 and accept that as the new reality. Fighting the numbers just creates more stress. Most importantly, limit your exposure to other people's financial anxiety. Unfollow accounts that constantly post about expensive everything. Your brain doesn't need a daily dose of economic doom scrolling. Look, inflation sucks. Nobody's pretending it doesn't, but destroying your mental health over it won't bring back 2019 prices. Your brain is trying to protect you by treating every financial decision like a survival situation, but you're not actually surviving. You're living through a temporary economic disruption that will eventually stabilize. The financial anxiety you're feeling right now, that's optional. The higher prices, those might stick around for a while. Choose which one you want to keep. Stop letting your caveman brain run your modern financial life. Your ancestors survived ice ages and plagues. You can handle expensive coffee, update your expectations, manage your information diet, and remember, your brain is designed to keep you alive, not to make you happy about prices. What's one thing you're going to stop letting inflation stress you out about? Let me know in the comments.